Let's go. Turn up the volume. From the basement of the Empire State. This is the Basement Surge.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the Basement Surge, everybody. Oh my God, a brand new episode, and I am super stoked for this week because I have a very, very, very special guest on the show this week. You guys know and love him because he's been on a bunch of episodes. He is the unofficial third member of the Basement Surge.
Official. I'm the official.
Yes, he's the official. But before we get started in today's episode, do me a favor, hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, hit that plus button, hit whatever button you gotta hit to make sure you get notified of fresh episodes of the Basement Surge, because we drop them every week. The schedule is changing. I want to say, Jeff, you may not know this, but next week we are changing formats. We're dropping
Imagine that.
We're dropping 2 episodes every week now, every Tuesdays and Thursdays. So keep an eye out for that. But if you are listening to us on a podcast listening app, do me a favor, head on over to YouTube and watch us over there, because you could be watching this episode. And while you're there, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. Give us a thumbs up because you don't want to miss anything coming out of the basement. There's a whole brand new series of videos coming out over on YouTube. You are not going to want to miss. I got a bunch of stuff planned, so don't you worry. This week on the show, we have a very special guest, Mr. Jeff Hunt. He's a longtime visitor of the show. He's a longtime visitor of the basement, and he's literally the official third member. Like, he has been here since the beginning, from the very first live show to like the first season of the show. Jeff, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing wonderful, man. It's great to be back. And like, let's put it in perspective. Like, we're 3 years in.
Yeah,
that's a decade in podcasting. I'm seriously, like, I'm so like excited that 3 years later, me and you are still over 3 years later.
It's crazy, right?
Since you did, for the record, since you did my show the first time, and which was awesome of you guys to accept and do, and we had a great interview. We were still doing it. It's like, I don't know how to explain to people. We did it over the phone because we weren't all video yet, because it was right before shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
And so we did our first interview audio, and we had a great fucking time.
Yeah,
and then we all started doing video and
audio only. Remember that? I think we did that on Skype, I think.
No, we did. I used like, what was it called? Google Phone. I think it was called Google Phone. We did. It was awesome. I like, everybody go back. Like, you can still find this episode. Maybe I'll just like re-up it on Jeff Needs Help. And John volunteered to do it. And him and Frank came on. It was an awesome conversation, but we really hit it off. And then the next thing you know, shit hits the fan. Everybody went to Zoom and Skype or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, me and John had our own show. Like, I think we did 2 or 3 episodes of
The Morning Buzz.
Here's the thing. The Morning Buzz, it was not a failure.
No.
It was one of the greatest shows ever if me and John didn't have lives and families and all that. But here's the thing, John. I've thought about this a lot over the years. I'm like, what's the difference between me and John and, like, I don't know, some dude making billions doing the exact same thing that we do? And it was just because we had shit to do.
Yeah.
Like, if me and you would have been, but the thing is, what makes our shows good is our lives. Like, what makes your show so special is Heather and your kids and all that. Like, it's everything that encompasses your lives, that the only way to, like, one of the only ways to be successful is to not have that.
Right.
You know what I mean? To not have those, outside interests and more important things, and stuff like that. And that's what makes mine good too. Like mine, like right now, like, dude, I've had my son has had a child since we started doing shows, bro.
Right.
Like my grandkid's crawling right now. And when I met you, like my son wasn't even married. That's what we're talking about, how long it's been. So but I think that's what makes us so good is our perspective and our experiences and our time and our age and our families. But that's also what makes it so difficult.
Yeah.
To thrive in a world that needs like so much dedication, like so much, time,
Right. Yeah.
and you've been able to, you've withstanded a lot of it. Like we talked about it, multiple times, like, what our families have to like put up with. I'm not going to act like it's some sort of like burden, but like they do have to put up with a lot of shit. Like,
Sure.
dude, I remember what your studio looked like. Every time I see your studio, I'm like, I can't believe that's the same basement that we started with. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, man.
stuff like that. So like, it's
come a long way.
That's the one thing I take away when like I listen to us. I'm like, we're not doing anything different. We just literally don't have the time.
Right.
And you know what I mean? Like, but we also have like other stuff going on in our lives that, keep us from that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, well, I can only speak for Heather. I can't really speak for Alicia, but, Heather dealt with a lot, especially with me doing Surge, especially in the beginning, where I was literally 24/7.
Oh yeah. You were all in. Yeah. I mean, Lish wasn't, but yeah, Lish was more like, okay, you go do what you got to do or whatever.
Yeah.
There was a lot of nights. When I first started, just like you, I had a partner in studio,
right.
And stuff like that. So like, our kids weren't as young as yours were when you did it, but like they do make a certain like how many times have we said like this is what these guys got to do to stay sane. And I'll be honest with you, I retired in November and I don't know that it helped. So I'm so like I always tell everybody like, oh, I get it. But then when you said you're like, oh, we're bringing the show back in May, I'm like, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? So like at the same time, and I don't know, you know what? I'll just go ahead and announce it on your show now. I believe that in the fall of 23, Jeff will be back with a podcast.
Yes.
And trying to, I keep fighting it, and I've run it by like some of my, close friends like you, a couple guys at the network, and every week I get closer and I'm like, nah, it just feels like there's something still there for me to prove or for to do. I don't know exactly what it is, but that's all the tidbit I'll give you. Nobody else.
Oh yeah. Nobody knows now because, nobody listens to the Basement Surge.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But I don't think like your entire audience knows me that well because it's been a while.
Are you kidding, bro?
Yeah, I know. I'm the third member. Anyway, let's let you run the show. I'm sorry. I've got everything out of the way.
So for those of you listening,
ask me how I got into podcasting. For the 17th time.
No.
If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be in podcasting. I can tell you that right now.
That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm trying to get to. Okay.
I remember being like, okay, I can do it now.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Confessions of a Deli Boy got me into podcasting.
Here we go.
Dude, that's not a joke. That's not a joke. That's what I was like.
That was terrible. Come on.
And my wife still wants to come see you guys. So like we got to figure this shit out.
Yeah, let's set it up. Set it up, man. But for all you guys listening and watching over on YouTube, if you don't know, if you're living under a rock, in the past couple of weeks, I've released a video trying to coax Jeff out of retirement. Okay. And, I'll play it on the YouTube version of this right here.
Back in November of 2022, Jeff Hunt retired from podcasting.
What is up, everybody? This is Jeff from Jeff Needs Sports, a proud member of the Off the Ball Network, and you are listening/watching the Buckeye Remix, Week 4, Wisconsin.
Well, the Basement Surge is calling you out, pretty boy. Retirement is over. Your days of sitting by the campfire without a microphone are numbered. You will feel the surge. Once again. It's time to come back to the basement.
From the basement of the Empire State, this is the Basement Surge.
But like I made that video because I want to bring him out of retirement, and the day I released that video, I texted him. I'm like, your wife is going to hate me.
And I want to be clear before we go any further. My wife saw it, and my wife was clear to say, I never told you to stop podcasting. Like I'm 100%. She was as surprised and asked me just as many questions as like all of you guys did. Like it was never my wife. So I just want to make that clear. She's like, tell John, like I never needed you to stop podcasting. I never even asked you to.
Well, I didn't think she made you. I just thought that it was your own decision, like
it was,
which was fine, So, I accepted that in November. I accepted that, but you know what? It's May, okay. And
the type of podcasting I was doing, I don't know if it can come back, but I still feel like I think there's an avenue. I think there's an avenue for me. I think there's a.
Well, bro, after the show, you want to hook up, you want to talk about this, we can set it up. I'll help you.
Yeah. You've never been. No. You've always been there. You've always been there. That's for sure.
You need anything. You need a logo. You need some sound done. You need just ideas. Like I'm there, bro. Like we'll do it. Like, but Jeff used to run a show called Jeff Needs Help, and then he had another show called Jeff Needs Sports, over on the Off the Ball Network. And you're appearing like sporadically, like on different podcasts. You're not fully like retired.
Yeah, I've done more podcasts since I've retired than most people have done since they started a podcast. I've got one tonight with with Stuart Brooking.
So you're recording with me right now, and then you're going to do another show later tonight.
Yeah,
so
I've only got two shows tonight.
Yeah, only. Yeah. Well, from what I remember, when you and I used to do shows, we used to do 2-3 hour shows.
We were a disaster.
And those are live shows.
But that's a thing. That's another thing about your podcast with Red Hat is when I was thinking about it, and he was talking about learning to do it through the live shows, and I was like, that's kind of what we did.
Yeah,
like we basically we put ourselves out there.
Yeah.
Like we put ourselves out there, and we opened up, and we talked, and we got comfortable in front of the cameras, and and with the sound and all that. So we really did kind of developed a craft as we were becoming friends, as we were just having a good time, trying to work through a tough time. That was a tough time.
Yeah.
There were some shows we did that, like, let's be honest, like we needed to get out there. Like, I don't know what things look like if I didn't have that outlet. It was me and you, DJ, Brendan, of course, for sure. Like all of us, like just kind of figuring it out, you know what I mean? Just inviting random people on. There was bad time. There was, I mean, I shouldn't say there were bad times.
There were bad episodes. There were bad shows.
Yeah, there were bad episodes, but they're like, there was like bad audio times, like people on their phones and trying to figure it out. But like looking back now, like, holy shit, that's how we developed.
Right.
And me and you, I think we're both kind of like, I did it for the Off the Ball Network, and you've done it for, a lot of people along the way. I've really noticed, like, really helped them, like, with a lot of little things, like, do these little things,
right?
Make your show sound professional, and then figure it out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Rather than the other way around. I listened to a show the other day. I mean, it was on a major, podcasting platform, and I listened to it, and they had echoes in the background. It sounded like they were, they were talking into like their laptop, and I'm like, man, these these guys are getting paid to do this. They didn't sound any different, and I've been blessed. Like, the people at the Off the Ball Network are like so smart and so good at what they do. And, their content is so great. And just being like, the difference between them and the billionaires is just the luck of a draw.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's
It's the luck of finding somebody who's willing to sponsor
Yeah.
the show and believe in you, you know?
yeah.
The Basement Surge has not found that person yet. But
No,
we will. We will.
But I still 100% believe that you will. I said it the night that I interviewed you guys, and I still believe it to this second
Yeah.
that it's going to snap. Like, because every time I listen to you, I'm like, I'm being serious. Like, your show like feels good in my ears. Like, it's comfortable to listen to. I can hear it. I can hear you while I'm mowing grass, John.
Nice. That's a
Like,
good
that's
thing.
a big deal. Like, like
It's my soothing voice.
yeah, it really is. Like, I've built this, like small indie podcast community, but I'm like, I can hear you guys as I'm like living my life. And that's what's key. Like, you don't sound but I also listen to some of the major ones, and I'm like,
Right. Son of a bitch. He dropped out. What the hell? Bro,
I have no, dude, I'm plugged into the wall. Like, this is crazy.
I don't know.
It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
Anyway,
What were you saying?
all your questions. I know you want to talk some baseball. I've got the,
That's all right. Keep going.
yeah, that's the only thing. I'm just like, I know we're gonna get around to it. So like, that's all I'm telling everybody. Like, keep the quality up, keep
Yeah.
the good questions up. Don't the one advice that I've stayed from the time I started to the time I stopped is like, when you're asking questions as a podcaster, like, just ask the questions that you want to ask. Because people, when they're only listening to audio, I think that's what we've lost a lot of. When you're only like, when people are watching ESPN, like, because I'm a sports podcaster is why I say this. Like, when you're watching ESPN, you got a lot going on. You got the bottom line going on. You got all this flashy stuff up there. And you're like, oh, that question sounds normal. But when you're just listening to it in your ear, like, say you're taking a jog or whatever, like, that's when, like, you can hear whether a podcaster is genuine or not. Like, you can hear whether they're honest or not. And that's every time I like, for instance, while I'm listening to you or listening to me, we're two peas in the pod. Like, I'm like, people can smell bullshit from a mile away.
Sure.
And if you're just honest, like, people like that. And I don't mean honest in like this fake honest, like just saying a bunch of crazy shit. And people are like, yeah. I'm not saying tell you what you want to hear. I'm just saying being honest, because I'll hear people say stuff that I don't agree with. But if I feel they're honest about it, I'm like, okay, I'll hear them out.
Mhm.
And that's the key to building a genuine audience, is just like, just say what you're feeling and let people decide how they
Right.
feel about it. Don't try and manipulate how people feel about stuff.
Yeah.
Let people decide how they feel about stuff, and it'll work out.
You know, it's funny because I actually turned over to Heather today, and I'm like, you know what? Do you think I think I should niche Basement Surge down to like a specific topic, like video games or movies or something? And she says, no, you can't do that. Okay. And she goes, because Basement Surge is so much more than just one topic.
Yep.
Basement Surge is, you know, you want your guests and your audience to walk away with a feeling, you know, like I like on socials, I like to promote like feel the surge, hashtag feel the surge, you know, and you know, that's kind of like what I want people to, I want people to get excited and to, you know, listen to all of my interests, not just one particular thing, you know, so.
Well, and too, John, you'll come across people with common interest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the key, is you're like, man, I love, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
But then you're also like, man, I'll watch this.
He dropped out again. Some technical difficulties, everybody.
Yeah, I'm here again. I have no idea.
I don't know.
Never happened. I think it's the man trying to cut me off.
I was just going to say it's the government.
I literally did NFL draft night for like 5 hours and never had a glitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've got strong bandwidth. This makes no sense. So that's what I'm saying. Just like, you talk about everything you love, and then you'll find those people that fall in line with you, and then those people will be with you forever.
Right. Yeah, that's what I figure. You know, just keep going, keep doing what I'm doing. You know, and I'll be all right. But
yeah. Don't try to figure out what people want. Now there is a niche to just like play to what people want, and there's a
Right.
lot of people that make millions off of that. And if you there,
I'm, I,
I ain't against making millions, but my God, like
yeah.
be,
Like
be
if I tried to keep up with everybody who likes certain things, I couldn't keep up, so I'm only one guy. But I'm just gonna talk about what I want to talk about. It's my show, things I find
right.
interesting, podcasting, sports, movies, games, whatever,
And
I'm
I
just
think that's what people. And I think that's where I'm kind of leaning to. We'll talk about it at another time, but I think that's where I'm kind of leaning to. Is like
yeah, buddy.
find people. Just basically find people you have stuff in. I don't even stuff in common, but like common interest in, and then go down that road.
Yes.
Because there's so much content out there. You don't need to tell people like what they've seen all day.
Right.
You need to find that group that has the same like that they want to hear that opinion. You're like, I agree. Like
Yeah.
I want to know how you feel about the latest Star Wars movie and the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's like
Yes.
like that's the niche. You know what I
Yes.
mean? If that's even a niche, I don't even think it's even a niche.
You know what, Jeff? We're gonna trailblaze the way, me and you.
We've been trying, bro. We've been trying. I don't regret it. I honestly, like this many years in, I do not regret it. Like, yes, I didn't get rich off of it, but I do not regret what I've done and what I've put out there.
Absolutely. Me neither. But another reason why I wanted you on the show is because I actually want to pick your brain about sports.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm here.
Like
That's what I mean. That's how we can shift gears.
Right. Okay, because you're the sports guy. I'm right now, like at 40 years old. Yes, I'm 40 years old now.
It's about time.
I don't want to talk about it. Okay.
40s were my favorite.
Yeah.
40 to 45 was my favorite years.
Okay. Well, yeah, I just hit 40. I'm still dealing with it, but I'm kind of I kind of found baseball a little late in life. You know what I mean? Like I'm starting to discover, like I've been a Dodger fan for years now. Okay, so I want maybe 10 years, no, 5 years, right? And it's not like I jumped on a bandwagon. It's not like I'm saying, hey, these guys are really doing great, I'm going to follow them from now on. It's not like, people who jump on the Brady train with, Tom Brady. But, for me, the Dodgers is kind of nostalgic, okay? Because my family, we're from Brooklyn, right? Okay, and my family growing up, the old timers in my family, they were always Dodger fans. They were
the trolley Dodgers, yes.
Yeah, they were always Met fans, the Mets. And but most of all, we like the Dodgers here in the family. So I think I picked the Dodgers because of that, because it was kind of nostalgic for my family. And I think that's a pretty good reason, to pick a baseball team. Not just because I'm picking the Yankees because I'm from New York. No.
Right.
I'm picking a team because they mean something to me and my family. I think that's a good reason.
I like that. That's funny. I promise I'm not even, I wish I was making this up, and this is why you're good at what you do. We just had this conversation today. Me and a friend of mine, my friend, he's from Canada. He's been in Ohio for 20 years now, but he's originating Canada.
Yeah.
And we were talking about current rivalries, and I'm like, I don't know like a lot of the current rivalries. And we had a great discussion about like rivalries and like how, how much they mean now, how many there are, who they are, because of like, well, now that you have television, you can root for whoever you want. Like you're not
Yeah.
stuck rooting for one team, or whatever. And now that players move around, like you might follow a player and not. So we're like, I don't think people are as dug in on, team to team rivalries or city to city rivalries as they used to. We had this great discussion about it. It's kind of what you're saying is like, when you have all this access to teams,
Right.
you have the ability to pick a team that you just want to pick. Like I'm sitting here as a Chicago fan, and that's basically because when I was 10, 11 years old, I could watch every Cubs game on WGN network on my TV. So like I learned to love a team that, is 500 miles away from me.
Yeah.
Because of access to them. And
Right.
that's what we started talking about. We're like, well, now you have access to any team you want. So
Yeah.
like I don't like, just like I agree with what you said. Just be like, I grew up in Ohio. I'm not a Browns fan. Like
Mhm.
I don't have any connection to the Browns. I never had a like, oh, I had to change from the Browns. I've been a Dolphins fan my whole life. And the same with baseball. Like I've been a Cubs fan for almost 40 years now because of access to the team. And we
Yeah.
were discussing how like that's changed, in the way you view sports and the way you digest sports is
Yeah.
just the access to it. So I think that's a great thing to bring up. Like I have no like I think it would be ridiculous to think that you should be a Yankees or a Mets fan just because of your proximity.
Right.
If you can watch the Dodgers every day, what's the difference?
Right.
And I mean, you also there's a connection to the Brooklyn Dodgers too. So like all that makes sense. But that's just funny that how that both sides that I've had today, and I completely agree.
And like to add on to that, I think, like I know what it's like to try to watch baseball games that are only in your network, like in your area,
Right.
and if I stuck to that, I would be limited to only the Northeast games, to
Yep.
Yankees and Mets and, Philly and Pittsburgh and all that, so, but I'm a Dodger fan, which means I'm a Los Angeles fan, which means the West Coast, different time
Yeah.
zone and different section of the country, and it's for me, I had to actually get the MLB All Access plan and pay for that to get all the games within Major League Baseball so I could watch the Dodgers, because it's out of my network. And I couldn't watch them. And I was stuck to Yankee games, which is funny because I pay for this network now. I pay a yearly subscription to this. And they won't let me watch Yankee games and they won't let me
Right.
watch Met games.
I do this. I'm the same way with basketball. I'm the same way with basketball. And not that I care, but like I can't watch Cleveland Cavs games on the NBA channel. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, that's fine.
I'm a
I'm a Bulls
I
fan.
want to watch Met games. Like I'm a fan of the Mets too. Like I like the Mets. There's nothing wrong with that. But I want to watch them. But you see, the thing is that I don't have cable TV. I don't have TV. I canceled it.
Gotcha.
So I only have the subscription plans. I have Netflix, Hulu, all that stuff. That's my TV. So I don't have regular network television to watch the network games. So.
So have you learned to hate the Giants as much as you should? Do you
the
hate
Giants
the
and the
Giants?
Jets? Yes, the Giants and the Jets.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm football for me has
No, I
been-
mean with the San Francisco Giants.
Oh.
You got to hate the Giants if you're a Dodgers fan. Do you hate them yet?
Oh, no. I didn't even realize it was a rivalry.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so half of your audience right now just threw up in her mouth. So I'm not even being serious. The Dodgers and the Giants hate each other
Okay.
with a passion. Like that's one of the biggest rivalries in sports. So now you know.
Okay.
But I love telling you this because this is what I like about sports is because everybody's like, "Oh, you're a bandwagon fan." I'm like, "Yeah, isn't that what sports is about?" Literally
Jumping on a bandwagon.
liking a team because like you enjoy watching them. Like
Right.
I totally agree with that. Yes. So just so you know, you hate the San Francisco Giants.
Okay. I'll remember.
And that started back when it was the Giants used to be in New York and the Dodgers used to be in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So that's been a rivalry since then. So yeah, you hate the San Francisco Giants now.
I got to look into that. I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah. This is new. No, but I love this. I love this about sports because this is what I like about sports because like everybody's like, "Oh, you got to be a bandwagon." I'm like, my kid's a Miami Heat fan. Like he not because he was born in Miami, but who cares? It's on TV.
Right.
It's not, you know what I mean? Like, so that's fantastic. That like I don't think I've done anything better in this world than letting you know that you hate the San Francisco Giants. And they
All right.
despise you, by the way. Despise you.
I gotta look into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta read up on it. Yeah.
And the Cubs and the Dodgers had 2 or 3 years there where they didn't get along very well, but that's over now.
Yeah. No, I remember that.
We took one, they took one.
Yeah.
We're all good.
Yeah.
I like the Dodgers. When I was a kid, I really loved the Dodgers.
Yeah.
I watched the 88 Dodgers win that World Series. That was fantastic. I was always kind of like a partial Dodgers fan.
Mhm.
Just because Cubs were really bad. But so like I'd get it. Great. Tommy Lasorda. I grew up with Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah,
Like
man.
that's yeah. So
Yeah.
Dodgers a little different now, but guys are kind of rolling right now.
Yeah. So, I've been trying to watch every game that's on MLB at All Access, trying to watch all the games and trying to get my kids into it. My son, he's more interested in basketball. I'm like, what the hell, man?
You live in New York.
I don't watch
first of all,
any basketball in the house. I don't
really.
watch any basketball.
Basketball's a great sport.
Yeah. So
Need to
I'm
watch
like,
more
where are you
basketball.
getting this from? He's like,
Basketball
school.
is American sport.
Yeah.
Everybody. Because here's the thing about basketball. This is why basketball is the greatest sport. Is that you can play it by yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. You probably,
Like you cannot
Yeah.
play baseball by yourself. Football, you cannot play by yourself. You can go out back and pretend and shoot baskets, and you can be, I don't know if your kid's a Knicks fan or a Nets fan.
He doesn't know yet. He's 7.
He doesn't
Oh,
know. So he's So regardless, so you can pretend to be that player by yourself on a Nerf hoop,
Yeah.
all night. That is why basketball is, the greatest. Like my grandson's 9 months old now.
Yeah.
I've got him putting the ball into the hoop. You know what I mean? Like I'm serious. It starts, and I'm like already. And I showed my son. He's like, "Well, of course he would."
Yeah.
Because that's just what's in our blood.
That's what he does. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what Brennan said. He goes, well, of course he would.
Yeah.
That's what he's going to, because he's playing. So, don't just, but baseball's a great sport too, but it's such a team sport. You know what I mean? Like
you can't play baseball by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a big part of baseball's issues of spreading it through America is because you need space.
Right.
You need a certain amount of equipment. You need a certain amount of people. You know what I mean? Like, so that's been the problem with like spreading the decline, so to speak, of baseball in America is that you just need it takes money, it takes space, it takes all these things to like keep it going as
Mhm.
to where like what we've always said, soccer or basketball, you need a ball and you need some sort of net.
Right.
Like you can start soccer or basketball by yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In your backyard. So that's the fight that baseball has is to keep it going throughout America because you need space. 4 baseball fields, you can build probably 20 houses on it. And that's the problem.
Sure. All right.
If you live in New York City, like space is a rarity. So like I'm sure
Yeah.
that like baseball fields and stuff. So that's really the biggest thing is access and to the sport.
What do you think about the new rule changes that they have going on?
Love it.
Here? You love it.
I
hate it.
I am
I hate it.
100 I am 100% on board. And here's why. And it's not that I did like most of these rules, let's admit, were already in place before they put them in. Like most of them are just in like the batter in the box, like it was always like get in the box and don't get out of the box, but they just never
Sure.
enforced it. The
Yeah.
pitcher's a little new, the pitch timing. But
Yeah.
what I like is when I turn it on, if I come home middle of a game, I have a semblance of how much time is left in the game. So if it's the 6th inning, I'm like, okay, I can do the math in my head and be like, oh, I can spend 40 minutes, to
Mhm.
finish this game out. As to where before there was literally no idea. Like if you had one of these slow pitchers
Right.
that constantly stepped off the mound, constantly through the first base, like I have no lungs. If you had one of these batters that constantly adjusts his gloves or his nuts after every pitch, like you really didn't have an idea. So there was no immediacy. You know what I mean? There was no like
I get that.
there was no inertia as to where now I'm like, oh, it's the 7th inning. Like this pitcher's getting tight because that ump's like, you got 10 seconds to throw the ball. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
So I personally really, really like it. I think it's going to, first of all, I think the biggest thing it did, John, what I love most about the rule changes is it says that baseball heard the listeners, the viewers or whatever, and was like, we understand that like we're not perfect. And they made, I consider in my lifetime, because maybe the 3-point line, the greatest, like the most drastic rule changes in favor of the fans that any sport's ever done And I recognize, like, what a big deal that was, and I give all credit to baseball for doing that. And I think it's overall going to be a plus.
Mm.
It's
Okay.
overall going to be a plus.
I don't know. I don't agree. I don't like the new rule changes. Call me, old fashioned. But I don't mind the fact that the pitcher gets off the mound like every couple minutes, or he tries to get the guy out at first like 50 times. Like it's part of the drama. It's part of the suspense, I think, of what's
Well,
gonna happen.
that's what I was getting ready to ask you. So it's about and I here's what I think. I
Yeah.
think when we get to the playoffs and the World Series, like, that's when you're really going to notice, like, wait a minute, that guy has to hurry up. But how do you think it's like? I understand how you feel about it,
Mm.
but how do you feel it's going to wind up at the end of the year, positive or negative?
I think people are gonna like it. I think the majority already say that they love it. That they love the new rule changes, and they love the bigger bags, and the pitch timer and all that stuff. But I really think that it all just comes down to advertising, and it comes down to the networks.
Oh, 100%.
Because when the game would last 3-4 hours last time, now it's only lasting 3. The network, MLB doesn't have to pay for an extra hour of a time slot on TV, for the game to continue, for people to watch. So they know exactly when the game is going to end. They can pace the game at a solid pace, and
I think it's about the pace. Do you have any idea what the viewers have been? I have not looked into the data yet of what the viewers have been. I've heard that it's good, that it's positive, but I really haven't looked myself as to where it's been up or down.
No, I haven't seen any, but everybody I talk to, everybody I hear, every article I read, everybody's all happy with the rule changes. I mean,
because it's all about TV. It's all about
right,
TV, John.
Right. I mean,
you said it.
Yeah,
but I think this World Series could be huge.
Sure.
Because people know, like, if people know the game starts at 8:30, but they're like, this game's going to be over by 11. I really think that drags eyeballs in, which that's all anybody cares about. TV money is all sports cares about now. Just for the record, like, if anybody thinks it's anything else,
sure, it's all about money. It's all about money. It's all about
revenue sharing. It's about money. It's about eyeballs. Like, the people in the stands do not matter. They just really don't, as of right now, the economics of sports.
Right. So, and so it's kind of like, all right, like, this is the first year we're dealing with the rule changes, we're seeing all these players adjust their play style, to the rules, like the pitchers and, and the rest of the field. But, and it's kind of interesting to see but at the same time, it's like, I think these pitchers are feeling a little rushed.
I do too. I think it's affected the pitchers a lot. But okay, so prognostication in 2 years, is that fixed? Do we have pitchers coming up that are like, yeah, I wanted to pitch faster anyway? Do you know what I'm getting at? Like, the NFL, 30 years ago, like, the quarterback handed the ball off 3 times in a row, then maybe threw a pass. And so then when everything changed to a pass happy offense, a lot of these quarterbacks were like, oh, I'm not ready to do this, as to where the younger guys were like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So, like, is it just a growing process?
I don't know. I think it's a generational problem because let's say you take a pitcher like Nolan Ryan, right? And you put him under these rules today, like, Nolan
let's
Ryan,
talk about this. Can we do 2 hours on Nolan Ryan? And I think Nolan Ryan would have thrived.
Right? You think so? No way. I think he would have beat the shit out of somebody on that field.
I think he would have been like, no, because, like, you're a little younger than me, so I don't know how much Nolan Ryan you got to watch, but
I'm ready for Nolan Ryan, man. I could talk Nolan
I got
Ryan.
to watch a good bit of Nolan Ryan with the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, man.
And still one of the greatest athletes I ever watched. And I honestly think that if you told him, like, because that dude had 3 nasty pitches. That was it. Nasty pitches.
Yep.
And he knew how to pitch and he knew how to throw. I think that dude might have won. He might have won 30 games with a pitch clock, because I'm telling you what, a batter after Nolan Ryan threw the slider and threw the fastball, that batter needed to step out of the box.
Yeah.
And he would have just burned him. I 100% do. Nolan Ryan. Now, Greg Maddux might have been a guy that, like, I don't know, like some the really great, like, efficient pitchers would have thrived. Like some of these guys, like, would have struggled. Some of the batters, a lot of the batters would have struggled that were constantly. But I think Nolan Ryan would have been a better pitcher now than he was then.
I don't know, man, because it's like he had this attitude about him. He had this bravado.
Yeah, but imagine you only had 15 seconds to get ready for his next pitch.
Yeah, I could imagine him saying, "Don't tell me when to throw. I'll throw when I'm ready."
Oh, he would have been really resistant. Okay, I got you there. But he would have, he would have just been like, all right, fuck it. Like, we'll play by your rules. And that dude. So I remember one night I was probably about 13 years old. So we're talking like 1988, 1989.
Yeah.
And I'm watching him throw, and I'm like, oh, Nolan Ryan's throwing tonight. This is cool. So it was like first or second inning, he gave up a bloop single.
Right.
Like, whatever. You didn't even think about it then. Like, it was like, I gave up a bloop single. And then it got into the 9th inning, and you realize, like, Nolan Ryan's still pitching, and nobody, like, nothing else has happened. And it was one, I could probably go back. I could go back through and find it, on the reference. But, like, that bloop single, like, I was like, when it was all over, I was like, I think that was the best game I ever saw anybody pitch. And a guy just happened to get, so it was a one hitter, but it was an early one hitter. So, like, there was no build up to a no hitter or any of that. And I was like, every pit, like, so I just watched him for the next, like, 7 innings. I was like, I think that might have been the best pitching performance I ever saw in my life to this day. And he gave up some, I think he was playing the White Sox. So I was probably watching like WGN, just a random. And to this day, I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody throw better than that for a game than Nolan Ryan did, that night.
Yeah, because back in those days, they kept the pitchers in the whole game, right?
Oh.
I mean, because now they take them out, in the 7th inning?
At most. Yeah,
right.
It's a different, I mean, every sport is different now. Like, if you want to just have a conversation about how every sport is massively changed, honestly, like, within the last 5 or 6 years, you know what I mean? It's crazy. And baseball's another one. The pitching is the biggest difference as far as, like, now you just, like, there's not, it used to be you wanted your starter to go maybe 8, and then you had a setup guy, and then you had a closer that pitched the 9th inning.
Right.
Remember a closer?
Yeah.
Remember a closer?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's, like, I don't want to be a fuddy-duddy. I don't know if that's bad or good. Like, I'm also a guy in the NBA that people, like, I watch a ton of NBA. People are constantly talking about, like, oh, it's not like it used to be, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yes, it is like it used to be. You just didn't have access to it, which me and John have already talked about. Right. So all you saw was a highlight package of the, Detroit Pistons knocking guys down, and you think that every game was that way. And I promise you, it was not.
Yeah.
But you didn't have access to it. Now you have access to it, and you're like, oh, they don't play defense. John, I've done the numbers 100 times. Like, it's exactly the same as it was 20 years ago. Nothing's changed in the NBA except for access.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about access, how you can watch it.
Yes. And how much you can watch.
Yeah.
And replays and slow motion and, you breakdowns and stats, as opposed to seeing a highlight package and being like, best player I've ever seen.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? You know how tired I am of arguing with, like, 25-year-olds about how good Jordan is. I'm like, well, imagine if you could have watched him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
If you could have watched the game live.
Yeah, imagine if you could have actually watched him. Like,
I seen it live on TV, it was amazing. Like,
I saw it.
When Jordan left the Bulls and Pippen and Rodman, when they all left the Bulls, that's when I stopped watching basketball.
Yeah. That was a downtime. That was a really dark time.
And again, I was here in New York. I was here in Brooklyn watching Chicago.
Yeah. Access.
Okay. So, Oh man, but Jeff, like I said before, it's not until recent years that I've really been getting into baseball, where I just started buying baseball cards. I started collecting cards.
Okay.
Is this something that you're into? Have you been into this?
No, not actually since I was really young. My kid had a stint not too long ago. The
Okay.
price like went way up and he was selling some, but I haven't collected. Oh, it's been decades. I helped
Well,
him collect when he was young.
well, what about basketball cards and football cards? You don't do any of
Not
that?
really. I'm just never. I've got my own like personal stash. Like I've got a collection of Cubs cards and some stuff like that. But I was never a big collector of them.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, I just bought a
But
bunch
I
of
love them, by the way.
I just bought a bunch of Tops. I bought a box of Tops
Oh,
2023.
did you get to
Here.
open them?
I did. I bought this box here, and
There's nothing better than just open them.
yeah, there were 16 packs in this box, 16 little packs, and it was great. I got so many cards, Dodgers specifically, which I liked. And I've been trying to do a little bit of research on like how to collect baseball cards. Like how do you organize them? How do you collect them? What do you go for? And I found that there's really no right answer. Because with baseball, I don't know what it's like for the other sports, but for baseball, it's like you can collect cards from specific players, you can collect cards from specific teams. You can organize them by year, or you can only collect cards like, let's say, between the 1970 to 1975, decades, years. So there's no wrong way to collect cards. So I've just been trying to collect Dodger cards.
I used to like. I used to like collect team and like position. Like I wanted, my team, and then I
Yeah.
wanted every position. Like I always thought that was cool, but I was never looking to make money.
Yeah, right. Yeah, me neither. Yeah. Like I'm just looking literally to just build
Yeah.
my collection and just have it because I
Yeah,
like it.
I've
Yeah.
got a whole folder. Like I've got a whole page of like Ryan Sandberg cards that I got. We were in Myrtle Beach and they had and I got a whole, like my wife snuck in and bought it for my birthday. So I've got like I got like 2 pages of Ryan Sandberg cards.
Nice.
Yeah, I fucking love them.
Hang on one second.
Classic John. He's always got surprises. I want to know who your favorite Dodger is.
Right now?
Right now or ever. I don't even care.
Sandy Koufax.
Can't say Jackie. Oh, Koufax. Okay.
Yeah, Sandy Koufax.
Great dude. Imagine, like, we don't have time to talk about this now, but imagine a player takes off I believe it was a World Series game because of his religion. Imagine that in today's like society, what would happen? I know we don't have time for that, but just imagine.
So I have a bunch of cards here that are in the hard cases, right? That I like to
Mine's
keep.
Earl Horsheiser.
Yeah, that I like to keep safe here. I have cards like Barry Bonds.
Okay.
All
Small
right.
head, Barry Bonds. Okay.
Reggie Jackson.
All right.
Okay.
Was he with the Angels? Looked like it was an Angels, Reggie Jackson.
Yeah. Cecil Fielder.
Oh, R.I.P. Cecil.
Jose Canseco.
Okay.
Right.
Love it. 40-40 guy.
Ken Griffey Sr.
Yes.
Okay. And then
Yes, Cincinnati dude.
I got a bunch of these, dude. Like who's this? This is
I've seen Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. play baseball.
Nice.
Yeah,
Sandy Alomar.
Oh my God. Sandy, great catcher.
Gary Sheffield.
Yes, Brewers. I seen
This is when he was on the Brewers. He was on the Yankees at some point.
Yeah, he went to the Yankees afterwards.
Let's see.
And definitely didn't do steroids. This is the most fun I've ever had.
Dickie Knowles. That's old. Like
okay.
On the Phillies. He had David Wells before he was on the Yankees. Dude, he was on the
David
Blue Jays.
Wells could go.
Yeah. Let's see.
He was a big one for almost no hitters.
Another Griffey Sr.
Griffey Sr.
Another Griffey Sr.
That takes me back, bro. I grew up on that. I mean, that was
Bobby Bonilla.
oh shit. Still getting paid, by the way.
And
Still gets
Joe
paid $1
Kramer.
million. Damn. You know, hey, here's a fun fact for you. Do you know Ken Griffey Jr. is I don't want to say it too high. I think he's the 4th highest paid player on the Cincinnati Reds this year.
Really?
Ken Griffey Jr. because of his contract. Isn't that crazy? That's a true thing.
That's crazy.
He's
He's
making
retired,
like-
isn't he?
Yep, he's in the Hall of Fame, bro.
Right.
He's making like $4 million for the Reds this year.
Oh my god.
Bobby Bonilla is still getting paid by the Mets. Yeah, he makes him over $1 million a year from the Mets. Baseball's wild, man.
Man.
That was cool. That was fun.
Yeah. But all right, Jeff. I think that's about it because it's about time for you to go to your other show.
I know, classic Jeff.
Jeff, it's always fun to have you on the show, man. You and I could literally just bullshit about anything.
Yes, absolutely. I thought that was good. Did you
Yeah.
feel good about it? You feel like you got out of me what you wanted?
That was a great show. Because I don't
all
normally do
that.
sports. I don't normally do sports, and I'm
I think
afraid
we
to
talked
touch
about
it.
some good stuff in sports. I like that discussion.
Yeah, but I think that was good. It was good.
My first baseball show. That was my first baseball show. I've done 200 sports podcasts. That's my first baseball show.
Well, there you go. Trailblazing the way.
Always, man. We'll definitely won't talk for 10 minutes after this. We definitely won't talk for 10 minutes after this.
But all right, everybody, say thank you to Jeff. Thanks, Jeff.
I love you, everyone.
Jeff, thank you very much for coming on today. I would tell everybody where to find you, but they can't find you anywhere except guest appearances nowadays. So
Off the
wait
Ball
till the
Network.
fall.
Just follow Off the Ball Network on Twitter. And
There you go.
just
Off the Ball Network
see
on
where
Twitter.
that gets you. We got a bunch of great guys over there doing a bunch of really smart stuff.
There you
Yeah, just stay in tune over there, and you'll catch up.
There you go. All right. Well, if you want more of the Basement Surge, click the links down below to visit our official website, to listen to the podcast, to watch this show, this very show. Head on over to YouTube. The links are all there. Everything and anything that we do, that we have our hand in, that comes out of the basement. The links are down below, so go check it out. Next week, I have a very special guest. And once again, I'm not going to say who it is. It's a surprise, but this episode actually marks the first in the new format of 2 episodes in a week. So stay tuned for Thursday's episode, where I talk about some cool stuff you don't know, but I don't know what it is. We'll figure it out together. All right, everybody. We'll see you later.
Let's go. Turn up the volume. From the basement of the Empire State. This is the Basement Surge.
3, 2, 1.